Good morning, my friends, or whatever time of the day it is, wherever you are, and welcome to the Curate Study. For this, the latest in our line of Wondering on Wednesdays. So today it's Wednesday, and trusty clipboard in hand, I have been wondering some more about the structure of the Church of England. So if you remember, our last Wondering Wednesday, we talked about how parishes are grouped together in mission communities or benefices, and these are overseen by a rector or a vicar. These in turn are often part of deaneries, which are split into deanery chapters, overseen by a rural dean. And we talked a little bit about that and about the history of the name, didn't we? Well, deaneries are part of what are called archdeaconries, which, not surprisingly, are presided over by an archdeacon. Our archdeacon for this particular deanery is Reverend Andrew, who's our archdeacon. And there are 4 archdeaconries within the Diocese of Exeter. And the Diocese of Exeter, somewhat confusingly, covers the whole of Devon, so it's quite a big area. And actually, it's one of the biggest dioceses in England, mainly because of its sort of variation of geography, I suppose you would say. A lot of it being quite rural, such as our parishes. Now, each diocese is presided over by one bishop. Our bishop is Bishop Robert, and his seat is the Cathedral Church of St. Peter in Exeter. And the word cathedral more or less actually means seat, because it is the seat or the place of residence or the headquarters, if you want to think of it that way, of a diocese. The term archdeacon is a really ancient one. I think the first archdeacon, from the research that I've been able to do, was recorded in Devon almost, give or take, 1,000 years ago. So there have been archdeacons around for a very long time. And an archdeacon's role is to be, I suppose, an assistant, or to assist the bishop in overseeing the archdeaconries. And we have quite a lot to do here with our archdeacon recently, because we are in vacancy and looking to advertise for a new rector. So both he, the archdeacon, and the rural dean will assist us in that process. Now, along with our sort of main bishop, if you will, Bishop Robert, we have 2 suffragan bishops whose role is to assist Bishop Robert in all of his ministry. And that is Bishop Jackie, who is the Bishop of Crediton, and Bishop Nick, who is the Bishop of Plymouth. A curious fact, which you might find interesting, was originally the seat of the Bishop of Exeter, his or her cathedral, was in Crediton. And it was only in 1046 that the cathedral moved, clearly not physically but metaphorically, from Crediton to Exeter, when the then bishop, Bishop Leofric, decided that the town or the city of Exeter was growing in influence and in wealth, and it was more appropriate that the bishop's seat should be in the main town in the county rather than in Crediton, which up to that point had been more prosperous. And back then in 1046, to make things even more confusing, the Diocese of Exeter also controlled all of Cornwall. It wasn't until sometime after that Truro became the diocese in itself. So I hope you find that interesting. It's a bit of a shorter one today. Now, next week, we're going to try something a bit different on Wondering Wednesdays. So if you've ever read the book by Dan Brown, The Da Vinci Code, you will know that he makes some bold claims in the opening pages of it, which he states are facts. And those are claims in relation to the makeup of the Bible, and claims too about Jesus's marital status, and some other interesting little quirky things. And a lot of people assume, having read that book, that those opening few pages, which contain what Mr. Brown states are facts, really are facts. And I've been asked questions several times about this. I remember a little while ago, a pastor I know called Stu, who used to be a very keen rugby player, said to me he'd been approached by somebody on a rugby team who'd recently read the book, who said to him, "Well, Stu, the Da Vinci Code, you ought to read that. It's got some interesting facts in it," because they knew he was a Christian. So next week we'll be running through some of those facts that Dan Brown mentions in the Da Vinci Code, and we'll be looking at them. And we'll be considering if they do shed new light on what the Bible says and on Jesus' life. So, spoiler alert, if you haven't read the book, possibly you don't want to listen to next week's Wondering Wednesday. But if you have, I think you'll find it interesting. So until we meet again, my friends, may God hold you in the palm of his hand.